Red Ice Creations Radio. My name is Henrik Palmgren. This is Internet Talk Radio from the west coast of Sweden. We are available worldwide over the internet at redicecreations.com. Big thanks to Jim Mars for being with us last week, and heads up on that subscribers interview with Jim, a fascinating show on alien agenda meets rule by secrecy, and we are very close on getting our subscribers section up and running, so we will be accepting new subscribers just about any time now. Today we have a brand new program for you. We have Phillip D. Collins with us, and we are going to talk about the Scientific Dictatorship, and we're going to get a real dissection of the philosophical aspects behind it all from Phillip. So stay tuned and listen up. Chances are that you'll learn lots of stuff here today. I certainly did. Today we have Phillip D. Collins with us on the line. He is the author of The Ascendancy of the Scientific Dictatorship. He also writes articles for Paranoia Magazine, News with Views, the ACL Report, and also, of course, the excellent website conspiracyarchive.com. And I regularly link to the latest edition that's added to Conspiracy Archive from my site, which is, of course, redicecreations.com. So if you visit my site regularly, chances are that you have seen a few of Philip's excellent articles. And by the way, if you go to conspiracyarchive.com and go into the commentary section, you'll find the name Phillip D. Collins there with links to many of his articles. Phillip is also doing a collection of short stories, poetry and prose, entitled Expansive Thoughts, and I got stuck there today just before this show. A beautiful site. Check it out. It's expansivethoughts.com. Poetry and a lot of beautiful stuff there. So beyond that, I don't know that very much about Phillip, so I'm going to let him talk a little bit more about himself and about his writing. So welcome to the program, Phillip, and thank you very much for taking the time to be here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Excellent. So yeah, let's kick things off here. I mean, I don't know that much about you. You write for Conspiracy Archive, of course, but other than that, what's a bit of your background?
Well, I'm also a regular contributor to News with Views and the ACL Report, or that is the official publication of the nationally syndicated radio talk show, A Closer Look, which listeners can subscribe to that magazine by going to www.acloserlook.com. They can also pick up a copy of my book there in electronic format by going there to www.foracloserlook.com. But basically, I started my research. It started a while back, a little bit earlier into my college career. My brother, Paul, and I, who, of course, co-authored this book, and has also published a book previous to this one called The Hidden Face of Terrorism. My brother was very much interested in political science. He was very much interested in the intelligence community. He studied the CIA. He studies a great deal of political intrigues and what have you. And meanwhile, on the other hand, I was very much interested in philosophy, in questions of metaphysics and epistemology. And both of us eventually found our research dovetailing, and that was one of the reasons that we eventually collaborated on this book. But I basically, earlier in my college career, started actually writing this book, it's almost 10 years back, and it began as a thesis for a course in science and religion. And one of the reasons being was I went into this course of science and religion and was automatically bombarded by just an overwhelming prejudice that was favoring scientific materialism. And I found that the more and more that they favored, that the instructors and the people in that course favored scientific materialism, the more and more they favored also a specific socio-political outlook. And what I found was that scientific materialism and its closely associated paradigms, Darwinism, Malthusianism, positivism, were all outgrowths of socio-political utopian movements of the late 19th century, out of which would spring such socialist totalitarian aberrations as communism and fascism. And I began this working on this thesis, and it grew into the book that we have today. I basically have basically tried to show the ties, the ideational ties, the philosophical ties, and Paul tries to show the political manifestation of those philosophies. But to give the audience a little bit of a rundown on my credentials, I have a bachelor's degree, which was a dual major in communication studies, which concerns itself predominantly with journalism, although that also reaches into other theoretical fields such as semiotics and mass media criticism. I also have a dual major in liberal studies, which deals a little bit more with the arts. I've always been active in theater and active in creative writing, art. It was, of course, and has always been my first passion. This kind of the research field kind of accidentally took precedence in my life as of late. But that's what my liberal studies portion of my major encompasses. And then, of course, I have a minor in philosophy, which was really what really acted as the nucleus for my research. But at any rate, you have I come at the material from conspiratorial history and political intrigue from more of a philosophical vantage point. Paul comes at it from a more political science vantage point, and from that you get our relatively unique perspective, a more scholarly, more I guess you could say holistic view of conspiratorial theory and conspiratorial history.
Excellent. Yeah. So I mean, tell us more about the your ebook, the ascendancy of the scientific dictatorship. I mean, it's a loaded word, and let's begin with the scientific dictatorship. I mean, what's that for those that don't have an idea?
Sure. Well, as we look backwards in history, we find that the power elites, whether it be the elites of Babylon or Egypt or any number of the other ancient oligarchies, were able to maintain this very strict system of regimentation and control and manipulation. It was the establishment of their day, if you will, and they maintained it through religious institutions and mysticism, particularly through sun worship, whether it was the deity of Osiris or Set or what have you. But to give you an example of how this system worked, you'll recall, for instance, Jesus Christ, when he in the book of John, chapter 7, challenged the Pharisees. The officers of the Pharisees were sent to seize Jesus and come back. They came back empty-handed, and the chief priest and the Pharisees demanded to know why. And the officers explained that no one had ever spoken like Jesus. And in verse 48, the Pharisees and chief priests replied, "Have any of the rulers or the Pharisees believed on him?" Well, what's implied by this statement is that something is not true until the Pharisees tell the people it is true. You don't believe until they believe and tell you it's all right to believe. Now, what we have here is an epistemological cartel using the religious establishment as its vehicle, a cover. Now, epistemology basically is the study of knowledge and what is constitutive of knowledge. It's derived from the original Greek word episteme, which means knowing. And so is the word science is derived from the Latin root scientia, which also means knowing. So basically a scientific dictatorship, and that term, by the way, was coined by Aldous Huxley in Brave New World Revisited. A scientific dictatorship controls what is constitutive of knowledge. It controls the dissemination of knowledge. It basically manipulates the epistemological notions and epistemological concepts of the masses for socio-politically expedient purposes. Now, when the particular form, the religious manifestation of the epistemological cartel started to lose its effectiveness, the elite basically put their theocratic power structures through epistemic overhaul. Now, the whole thing basically went through what can only be described as an epistemic transformation. Basically, epistemology was undergoing a brand new, it was going through a transmutation. It was taking on a brand new vantage point. And the result was the emergence of the modern concept of a scientific dictatorship. Now, the philosophical underpinnings and foundations of the power elite's religion stayed intact, but they assumed a secular and scientific appearance. And we owe this to theoreticians such as Darwin, whose evolutionary theory was used to scientifically legitimize the thinking of several individuals that can best be described as theoreticians for the power elite. Now, to name a few, you have Adam Weishaupt, you have Karl Marx, you have Voltaire, Diderot, Rousseau. The list goes on and on.
Yeah.
You basically look down a whole litany of names that populate the Enlightenment thinkers list.
Yeah.
That is the type of theoretician we're talking about. But Darwinism was used to micromanage this crusade for a scientific dictatorship. Now, basically, the epistemic transformation that I'm describing here, basically it worked like this. Okay, the epistemological cartels of the past, of antiquity, premised their epistemic primacy upon their alleged communion with suprasensible entities. Now, however, ironically, modern epistemological cartels premise their epistemic primacy upon the rejection of suprasensible entities. And by suprasensible entities, I mean non-perceivable phenomena, phenomena that is not quantifiably demonstrable, phenomena that is outside the realm of the five senses, things such as the spirit, the soul, God. But the so-called shamans of scientism are basically radical empiricists, and as such, they restrict scientific inquiry to the ontological plane of the physical universe. And moreover, they construct mythologies that concern themselves exclusively with corporeality, with the physical universe. In the words of Michael Shermer, who of course is a scientific materialist, a pathological skeptic, and a radical empiricist who just emphasizes the primacy of the five senses and rejects all suprasensible entities, he basically candidly admitted in an article called The Shamans of Scientism, he said that the adherents of scientism act as modern myth makers. And the myths they develop are inherently neo-Gnostic